Good afternoon and welcome. We're going to go ahead and do a little introduction here on the command line application used for Anvil. Anvil 9 uses the Symfony framework, so if anyone's used any applications that have used this framework before, then this will look very familiar. For those who haven't, we'll go ahead and give you a quick run through of how the command line functions of Anvil work and show you a little bit about some of the specific Anvil commands and what they do for us. Great. To get started here, I went ahead and from the bin directory of the Anvil installation, we run php space console, and that's going to go ahead and be the binary that we use throughout the product. When we run php console, it executes this console binary here, and it shows us all of the different commands that are available inside the Symfony framework. And many of these different commands don't really apply to anything that you would be doing. They might apply to support when they were to dial in and take a look at the product, or if support was to ask you to do a couple of things, like maybe if you needed to reset a user password, or if we needed to update or remove cache or something of that nature. The commands that you're going to be interested in are these ones listed right here under Anvil. And we can get those commands more specifically by typing php space console space Anvil. And it'll give us a little red dialog box here, or a little box here, that tells us what specific commands are available with the prefix of Anvil. We'll start at the top and just kind of walk down them. The commands listed as loop for the APU and the BPU, those are internal use. You won't really run those unless specifically asked to, so we probably just avoid those. But the APU stands for Auxiliary Processing Unit, and that is the one of the background processors that performs many of the server-side functions of Anvil. You won't really run that or start that. That's more managed by the background processing unit of Anvil, which is listed there below as the Anvil BPU. So to start the Anvil background processing units, you're just going to run the same command, php console Anvil, and you're going to say :BPU :start, and that'll actually launch those background processors into the background. If you wanted to run them in the foreground to kind of see what was going on, we could easily just change that to run and hit run. You can see it actually performs that functionality in the foreground. Let's go ahead and get that listing again here. Stopping after you've started them is important, so let's go ahead and start these. You'll watch it loads the APUs and the BPUs into the background, gives you those PIDs, and we can go ahead and just stop the background processors with the stop command. The Datastore rotate command isn't really something that you'll use at all, but if you did want to manually rotate the event data storage portion of Anvil, you could. Other than that, it's actually handled automatically through the console. The deploy config is handled during the install and upgrade process, so you won't use that. Install, of course, is what you'll run when you actually install the product, and that'll perform all the deploying of the databases, configuration, permissions, etc. Network scanner, that can be used if you'd like, if you're manually running the network scanner for whatever purpose. Other than that, that's actually handled by the APU. If you run into permissions problems with Anvil, something's not quite right, we recommend and always have end users run the Anvil repair command. And we'll go ahead and just run that real quick for you right here, so you can just see what that does. And all that does is, currently at this point, it does repair permissions, and there's a couple of unlisted actions that are taking place there. It also removes a couple of temporary files, cleans things up, and organizes. To continue on down the list, we have the reset command there. Word of caution, the reset command does delete data, so that would reset the installation back to a new install. We do not recommend you run that unless you're prepared to basically destroy your installation. Signature download command, that's going to do as you imagine it does, and that is to download signatures that are configured inside Anvil, inside the signature package system, and it'll automatically download those. SMTs, so those are the sensor management tools, and those commands would be limited to the sensor management tools when they're deployed. and so they wouldn't really be useful when you're running the console itself. But to just go over those, again, loop, that's internal use. You'll never really use that. Run the SMTs would run them in the foreground. Starting and stopping works exactly the same, where it would launch those into a background process. Anvil update, that command, if you were to run Anvil update, if it hadn't checked for an update, or if it believed that you were running the latest version, it'll exit without updating. If you add -- force to the end of that Anvil update, it would force an update, re-download, and reinstall of Anvil. And of course, Anvil version would display the current version of your console. Great, and I hope that helped you out and give you a little insight into how to execute the Anvil background processors and what their specific commands do. Thank you.